Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. As the 2024 national presidential election draws closer, we hear some Muslim civic leaders, African Americans in particular, calling black Muslims to rally up, mobilize, and eventually march to the polls to vote for Kamala Harris. Now, some Muslims may see this as a duty to support an African American nominee as opposed to a candidate who may hold racial bias against black Americans. Others may not particularly agree with her, but see her as the lesser of the two evils, as we have heard. Aside from the Islamic ruling on voting itself, I think many things can be said from an Islamic point of view of why Muslims should not support either party. Every Muslim who is pleased with Allah as their Lord and Muhammad ibn Abdullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam as their prophet should ask themselves, how can I support anyone who supports the genocide of the Palestinian people? UN human rights experts have said that they believe that acts of genocide have taken place by Israel towards the Palestinians. We know that murder and unjust oppression are forbidden in Islam. So when tens of thousands of civilian, non-combatants are indiscriminately bombed and killed, how can we as Muslims support anyone who has the ability to bring about sanctions upon such horrific crimes, but they fail to do so? Allah says in his book, قُتِلَ أَصْحَابُ الْأُخْدُودِ, cursed are the people of the ditch. النَّارِ ذَاتِ الْوَقُودِ, when fire was supplied with fuel in abundance. إِذْ هُمْ عَلَيْهَا قُعُودٌ, when they sat by it. وَهُمْ عَلَى مَا يَفْعَلُونَ بِالْمُؤْمِنِينَ شُهُودٌ, and they witnessed what they were doing against the believers, meaning burning them. How many innocent Palestinian women and children have been burned by fire and chemicals? As Muslims, we know that Allah has made oppression forbidden upon himself, and he made it forbidden upon his creation. No matter who is oppressed, the Muslim never stands for that, whether the oppressed be a Muslim, a Jew, or a Christian. But when people remain silent upon such atrocities in order to gain votes, what does that say about such a person? Look at all the hopes some Muslims placed in Joe Biden 4 years earlier. What has he done to stop acts of genocide in Palestine? Rather, he has supplied them with weapons. Trump, in his debate with Biden, called Biden a Palestinian. How has the word Palestinian become a derogatory term thrown around in a presidential debate? Ultimately, the Muslim must understand, whether you're black, white, Arab, Asian, that Kamala Harris, nor will anyone else improve our situation, our communities, our livelihood, nor that of our children or our grandchildren. It will only occur by returning back to the book of Allah and the Sunnah of his Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and holding and clinging firm to that. Allah mentions, إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُغَيِّرُ مَا بِقَوْمٍ حَتَّى يُغَيِّرُ مَا بِأَنفُسِهِمْ. Allah will not change the state of a people until they change what is in themselves. Imam Ibn Kathir, he says in his book of Tafsir, if the servants change what is with them of sin, and they turn to the obedience of Allah, Allah will change the state that they are in from wretchedness to goodness, happiness, and mercy. So, O Muslim, do not be deceived by other Muslims who are rallying for Harris Waltz and pushing other Muslims to vote for them. How will we stand before Allah when we have elected an individual who is silent in the face of this oppression? And as black people in particular, we know oppression, as we've been oppressed. What will we say against those who are silent about that, let alone those who support it? Let us Muslims busy ourselves with what will draw us nearer to Allah from Tawheed, Sunnah, and the actions that are pleasing to Him, which will prepare us to meet him with a good ending. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen.